Hi, this is Tutor and this is lesson 649. Title of today's lesson is the difference between burrito and taco. Okay, somebody wants a screenshot, do it right now. Let's get right to it. Now, a burrito consists of a large, round, soft tortilla that is folded over to become a wrap and is often filled with meat, beans, cheese, etc. Sometimes also with chicken, shredded vegetables, and spicy sauce. All right, now remember a tortilla, and this is something important to note for students of English as a second language. We use the Spanish pronunciation in English with tortilla. In Spanish, they have two different L's. And they have a single L, which is just like in American English, and they also have a double L, which is actually pronounced like a Y. So that's why we say tortilla and not tortilla. Okay. All right, and also to note, although with burrito, we usually just pronounce it the American way, but the Spanish way would have what we call a rolling R. There would be burrito. It would be like that if you were actually in Spain or some Spanish-speaking place. All right, let's continue. All right, so let's continue here. So remember, tortilla is a type of thin, flat bread, usually made from corn, maybe some wheat or something like that. Let's continue. Taco is also made from tortillas, but there are two types. All right, so here's one major distinction right away. One is soft like a burrito, and one is hard and crispy, more like a chip. So the one that is, so a burrito can never be hard. A burrito always has a soft tortilla bread to it. The actual, the other chip one is actually sometimes harder to eat because you've got to be more careful. Sometimes I'm not as crazy about it because when I've been eating it, sometimes it'll crack as you're eating it, and then it's just very messy. All right, so let's continue. All right, one major difference is that burritos are often larger, okay? And the tortilla bread is often a little thicker than a taco. Yeah, generally speaking, that is true. It is often purposely made to be wrapped more seriously, and it is usually large enough to be a meal in and of itself. So you have a lot of like pre-made burritos a lot of times, and they're kind of like, especially at the bottom, where something could leak out, it's usually wrapped very, very well in comparison to a taco. All right, let's continue. Tacos are often half the size of burritos or less and are more often meant to be snacks, as opposed to a burrito. However, they are wrapped less securely and if overstuffed, is more likely to leak. So if you ever have any of them like in a buffet, for example, and you make your own, if you stuff it too much, it might be quite messy if you try to roll it up. All right, let's continue. The ingredients of both can be similar, but could also vary a lot depending on where and who is preparing them. Okay, both burritos and tacos may have more cheese in the U.S. versions. Yeah, there's not as much cheese like in the Mexican version, but in the U.S. version, especially in California and other places, cheese is a more prominent ingredient. All right, let's continue. All right, and we have three examples here to show just how it's used. Here's the first one. He ordered 3 tacos from Taco Bell. Remember, in the U.S., we do have a fast food Mexican restaurant called Taco Bell. And, if you're a grown man, one might not be enough for you. Like I said, they're more in the line of a snack, so you might need several. Number 2, she prefers the hard tacos because she likes the corn chip flavor or the tortilla chip flavor, basically. Okay, good. Number 3, when he goes to that fancy Mexican restaurant, he will often order a large burrito. So, like I say, sometimes if you go to a Mexican restaurant, that could be the whole meal just on the plate, the one big burrito. All right, and you could also note this. It might help to understand it more. The term burrito literally means like a small donkey in Spanish. It is believed to receive this name because it looks like a rolled up pack, often carried by burros. Now, in Spanish, burro means donkey. And in Spanish, if you know Spanish, they have a diminutive like suffix of ito or ita, depending upon if it's a masculine or a feminine noun. And that always means that it's small. It's a diminutive that means something is small. So burrito means a small donkey. Okay. Let's continue. The term taco is also from Spanish, meaning a light lunch in the sense of tacos de jamón, okay, which basically means tacos. Jamón means ham in Spanish. Because there used to be some sliced or diced pieces of ham, when they used to cut up the ham, sometimes they had these little pieces left over. And sometimes they put them usually in bread, and that's perhaps where the first tacos were actually coming from. The extra meat that was cut up in the small little pieces that were left aside. You don't want to waste them, so you put them in some bread, and they became kind of like the first tacos. So this is why tacos are generally smaller and lighter as well. Okay, anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it was clear. I hope it was very informative. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.